Welcome to Lesson 006. Today we're going to open the bonnet and take our first guided tour of the engine bay. At first glance, the engine bay might look like a collection of unfamiliar parts. But don't worry, by the end of this lesson, you'll be surprised how many major components you can identify confidently. Together, we'll learn what each component is, where is it located, and what it does. This is the first step towards understanding how automotive system works, how to diagnose faults, and how to repair vehicles. So let's get started. Now, let's open the bonnet. Now that the bonnet is open, let's take a closer look. Welcome to the engine bay. Let's take our first look inside the engine bay. For this lesson, we'll be viewing the engine bay from the front of this Jeep Wrangler, as if we're standing in front of the vehicle with the bonnet open. Although every manufacturer designs vehicles a little differently, you'll find that most petrol and diesel vehicles contain many of the same major components. We'll use this Jeep Wrangler as our guide for our lesson. Stay with me until the end of this lesson, and you'll be surprised how many engine components you can confidently identify. Our learning journey begins. So let's begin with the left-hand side of the engine bay, naming the components. The battery. With one of the easiest components to identify, its main job is to supply electrical power to start the engine and operate the vehicle's electrical system. We'll learn more about how the battery works and how to test it in a future lesson. Its main job is to supply electrical power to start the engine and operate the vehicle's electrical systems. But further in our future lesson, we will learn deeper of understanding this battery. Next, let's bring our attention to engine cover, the part that protects the top of the engine. Next, let's look at the engine motor assembly. At the heart of the engine bay is the largest and most important component, the engine assembly. The engine is often called the heart of the vehicle because it produces the mechanical power needed to move the vehicle. Although engines vary in size and design, their purpose remains the same, to provide the power that turns the wheels. In later lessons, we'll explore how the engine works and examine its major internal components in much greater details. Next, let's look at the air filter housing assembly. Also known as the airbox and the air intake duct. Their job is to filter the air before it enters the engine and direct that clean air into the intake system. Keeping the air clean helps protect the engine from dust and other contaminants. We'll learn more about the air induction system and how it works in a future lesson. The next part is the intake manifold assembly. It is located on top of the engine on this type of engine on our example. But the location of intake manifold varies on engine design, which we are going to talk about later on other lessons. And the job of intake manifold assembly is to distribute clean air evenly to each cylinder. This helps the engine receive the air it needs to produce power efficiently. We'll learn more about this intake manifold, how it works, and why it's important in our future lesson. The next part is the electronic throttle body assembly. It's located between the air intake tube and the intake manifold. Observe the photo because this is what it would look like for most of the throttle body in every vehicle. Its job is to control how much air enters the engine. On modern vehicles, this is done electronically instead of using traditional throttle cable. We'll learn how the electronic throttle body works and how to diagnose common faults in a future lesson. The next part is the fuse box, also known as the power distribution box. Think of it as the vehicle's electrical control center. It distributes electrical power to many of the vehicle's electrical systems while protecting them with fuses and relays. Later in this series, we'll learn how to identify blown fuse, test electrical circuits, and understand how the fuse box works. On this Jeep Wrangler, the fuse box is known as the Totally Integrated Power Module, or TIPM. For now, simply recognize it as the vehicle's fuse box. We'll learn more about that later. The next part is the engine oil dipstick. It's one of the easiest maintenance items to identify because it usually has a brightly colored handle. The dipstick is used to check the engine oil level and its condition before driving or servicing the vehicle. In a future lesson, we'll show you how to correctly check the engine oil level and what to look for. The next part is the power steering fluid reservoir. Its job is to store the hydraulic fluid used by the power steering system. This fluid helps make steering easier and more comfortable for the driver. In the future lesson, we'll learn how the power steering system works and how to check the fluid level correctly. Now, let's move to the front of the engine bay. And let's look at the radiator. Its job is to remove heat from the engine and help keep it operating at the correct temperature. As the air passes through the radiator while the vehicle engine is operating, it helps cool the engine coolant. We'll learn how the entire cooling system works and how to diagnose overheating problems in the future lesson. Now the next part is the upper radiators. It connects the engine to the radiator and carries hot engine coolant to the radiator, where the coolant can be cooled before returning to the engine. We will learn how coolant circulates through the cooling system in our future lesson. The next part is the windshield washer fluid reservoir. Its job is to store the washer fluid used to clean the windshield when needed. On some vehicles, it also supplies washer fluid to the rear windscreen. Keeping the reservoir top off helps maintain efficient work of the wiper for clear visibility, especially in wet or dusty conditions. Use the recommended windshield washer fluid instead of plain water whenever possible, especially in areas with insects, road grime, or in freezing conditions. The next part is the engine control unit, or ECU. It's also commonly called the engine control unit, or ECM. Think of it as the engine's computer. It receives information from different sensors and controls many engine functions to help the engine run smoothly and efficiently. In the future lessons, we'll explore how the ECU communicates with sensors and control engine's performance. The next part is the ABS hydraulic control unit, also known as the ABS HCU. It's an important part of the anti-lock braking system, or ABS. Its job is to control the brake fluid pressure during hard braking to help prevent the wheels from locking. This helps the driver maintaining better steering control during emergency braking. We'll learn exactly how the ABS system works in our future lesson. Next part is the brake fluid reservoir. It is mounted on top of the brake master cylinder. Its job is to store the brake fluid used by the vehicle's hydraulic braking system. We will learn how the braking system works and how the brake fluid is used throughout the system in future lessons. The next part is the brake master cylinder, directly located beneath the brake fluid reservoir. The job of the brake master cylinder is to convert the force you apply to the brake pedal into hydraulic pressure that operates the vehicle's brakes. Think of it as the starting point of the hydraulic braking system. We'll explore more of this braking system in a future lesson. The next part is the part located behind the brake master cylinder. It's the brake booster assembly. Its job is to reduce the amount of effort needed to press the brake pedal, making braking easier and more comfortable for the driver. It is also known as the vacuum booster or power brake unit. We'll learn how the brake booster works and why it's important in the future lesson. Coolant plugs or ignition coolant. These are ignition coils. They're also known as coolant plugs or COP assemblies. They're mounted directly on top of each spark plug. Their job is to supply the high voltage needed to create a spark that ignites the air-fuel mixture inside the engine. We will learn how the ignition system works and how to test ignition coils in the future lesson. The fuel injectors. Their job is to deliver the correct amount of fuel into the engine for combustion. Each cylinder has its own fuel injector to help engine run smoothly and efficiently. We will study how fuel injector works and how to diagnose injector problems in the future lesson. The engine oil and filter housing. On this Jeep Wrangler, it's conveniently located on top of the engine, making routine services easy. Inside the housing is the engine oil filter, which removes contaminants from the engine oil before it circulates throughout the engine. We'll learn how to replace oil filter and why engine oil is important to be cleaned. We'll learn that in our future lesson. The next part is the finally, let's look at the hood latch, also known as the bonnet latch. It's located at the front of the engine bay and keeps the bonnet securely closed while driving, and you need to unlatch to inspect the service bay. The hood latch allows the bonnet to be opened safely. Although it's a simple component, it plays an important role in vehicle safety and everyday maintenance. Bonnet prop rod, also known as the hood prop rod or the bonnet stand. Its job is to support the bonnet in the open position while you inspect the service bay or the engine bay. Some modern vehicles use gas struts instead of a prop rod. Both performs the same basic function. We'll continue to explore more of these components in our future lesson. Now, once again, let's open the bonnet and check how many parts we can identify. Take your time. Now you can prepare your answers in your identified components and parts. Thank you for joining this lesson. We at PrimeStar Automotive hope that you found it informative and valuable. Whether you're an automotive student, an apprentice, technician, or enthusiast, we appreciate you being part of our learning community. Thank you and continue learning, continue improving, and we look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Subscribe for future lessons in the Automotive Fundamental series.